Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Operation eMotorsport iRacing series here this season. As we approach the halfway point in our season, we're coming to perhaps the most iconic GT racing circuit in the whole world. Spa-Francorchamps. Everybody knows their way around this 7-kilometre circuit, and they'll be picking their way through it for the next 45 minutes in the latest round of this season of competition. This week it's myself, Ian O'Leary, joined by Jonathan Burke in commentary for tonight's race. Good to be alongside you, Jonathan. As I say, at potentially the most famous sports car racing circuit in the whole world here at Spa. Always produces a good race, as well as everybody knowing exactly where they're going around here. As I say, there's few circuits like this one in terms of their prestige, but also in terms of entertainment value as well.
And just popularity, because you mentioned, like, I think everyone that has ran a road race, regardless if it's Formula or sports cars, has run Spa multiple times. And it's so good for GT3 cars because it has a little bit of everything. It has those slow corners, it has high-speed corners, it has the long straights. So it really helps balance out all the different makes and models we're going to see here tonight.
Let's take a look at the different drivers we have and how they're going to be classified over the course of this Operation Motorsport season. We've got in the green beneficiary class drivers who are all eMotorsport's beneficiaries, all iRatings welcome in that category, and as I say, they'll be in the green on the left hand side. In the purple it will be the Pro Ben class drivers. They're experienced beneficiaries with a 1500 plus iRating, or they've completed a full beneficiary season with a or grandfathered in if iRating or safety rating drops below that requirement. They may be put in there anyway. The open class is for any serving military member or veteran not enrolled as a beneficiary, staff, volunteers and supporters of Operation Motorsport, or other guests approved on a case-by-case basis by the eMotorsports manager. And then you've got the pros. These are the guys who are likely to compete for wins, although not exclusively. In the blue, there are any competition licence holders from IMSA SRO, FEL, SCCA or similar level, past or present, and they need a iRacing A-class road licence as well for the pro class drivers, of which we have plenty. In terms of the season, we are, as I say, about at halfway now. Monza is in 2 weeks' time, another pretty iconic racetrack, and to be fair, all of them are on this schedule. Monza in 2 weeks, as I say. Le Mans is a couple of weeks after that, and then Silverstone to round out the campaign in October. I'd say that will end a real schedule of iconic sports car and road coursing, more generally, racetracks. In the pro standings, it's very, very close at the moment between Joshua Moore and Justin Bessett, both on 69 points. Only 10 points back for Mitch Herrick and 20 back for Martin Wallace. Marco Naranjo rounds out the top 5 with Nathan Rondot in 6th position. Elias Roman, Nick Batista, Tyler Manning, Peter Hitzman round out the top 10. Andrew Cooper and Zachary Becher also in the top 12. 1 point only separating the Pro Ben class leaders as well. Justin Knoll only just in front of Cameron Lackney, with Louis Rios not that far behind, only 8 points back. Nolan Nuke is 4th ahead of Brendan Mateo. Cam Jordan 6th ahead of Chance Sheffield. John May, Scott Andrews, Tanner Masters who round out the top 10. Travel H and Johnny Salada have not scored quite so many points down the bottom end there. Chandler Baker is leading by only 7 points in the beneficiaries class. Garrett Wickham is next in line, followed by Sean Bremer, only 1 point further behind him. Then Stephen Rayner and Brian Rodriguez running up the top 5. Nicholas Peck is in 6th place ahead of Dave Bell and Ray Richardson, who are both tied on 20 points. Joey Lamb and Casey Sobel round up the top 10, with John Hicks and Elliot Whiteford rounding out the 12. And then in the open class, a few less drivers here. Michael Huggins leading the way, though, ahead of Evan Kerr. Bit of a jump back to Devin Anderson and Raymond Sampson, who are tied for 3rd place. Kenny Gutierrez and Matt Dorocco are really the last drivers to have scored significant points so far this season. You can see the rest of them on your screen. We've had massive fields so far here this season, and I'm glad to say that we've got it here again. It does make these races very, very lively for 45 minutes, but they do absolutely whoosh by because we've had good fields all season and a lot of action, therefore, to watch throughout as well.
When you think about the 4 different classes, we have 4 different chances for a race win going on. So there's always action somewhere in the classes, whether it be for the edge of the podium or whether it be for that race win.
It's a real contrast to the last season of Operation Motorsport, where there were 4 driver classes, yes, but 4 car classes as well within that. P2s involved, as well as the GT3s. The Porsche Cup cars were, as well as the GT4s, which are mainly run by the open drivers down towards the back end of the field. It's a radically different look to this series this season. Just as we had 2 seasons ago as a GT3 only league. It's reverted back to that again for this season, as we've been talking about this season. First lap times coming in then. I mentioned that it's likely to be the pro class drivers who are at the top, but there have been some pro Ben drivers who've been really challenging that conventional wisdom, and Justin Knoll has certainly been a part of that. 2:15.6 from him, 0.7 of a second. I know this circuit is a long one, but that nevertheless is a very strong opening time.
He's got a couple tenths on some of the other guys around him, and a reminder, like, yes, there are 4 different classes, but they all qualify overall, so we're going to see the classes spread out amongst each other. So Noel putting 3 cars in between him and his nearest classmate, that's really key for him.
Yeah. I mean, big gap between first and second class, it's even bigger. Here's Stephen Rayner coming through the final couple of corners in the class, currently 4th place in those points we've just seen, and across the line with a 2:20.2. That's not representative of what he's going to be able to do here. Just now 21 drivers, they haven't set times, but more than 30 in the field here tonight. And pretty much everybody, the 555 and Garrett Wilkins is coming on the line now to complete the first round of times really hit, and gets onto the board. But he's having Kerr still waiting to do that. Trevor Lates will be the first one over the line for the second round of times here, and they have a limited amount of laps, of course, but around Spa you do need quite a lot of the 15 minutes allocated for these qualifying sessions to actually complete your the lap times that you're allowed, such as the length and the distance at Spa.
I remember for some official series, it used to be like 8 minutes for qualifying, and when you get to Spa, it's like, okay, we need to get out of the pits now.
Yeah. You can't hang around. An outlap round here will take you 2.5 minutes, so you absolutely can't hang around. But they'll have plenty of time in the 15 minutes, just can't wait too long. Here's Evan Kerr into the final chicane then, trying to get on the board for the first time. Andrew Cooper, currently the open class pole sitter, was running 4th, but he's been shuffled down by 3 drivers now getting into the top 5. Elias Roman in 2nd, then Martin Wallace and Nolan Nuke 3rd and 4th. I don't know if Justin Knoll has come over the line yet for this time round. I don't think so quite yet, but that gap has really shrunk here, and it shows if you're not improving every time round, then your lead can get slashed very quickly, and Justin Knoll will feel under pressure here in this final lap time to improve up from that 15.6. It may not be enough for the pole position here tonight.
No, it's a cooler track too, so it's going to take a little bit of time, I think, to get the tires warmed up. Because I was watching through some of those warm-up laps, and a lot of guys were moving around, trying to get up to temperature as quickly as possible. So we'll have to see if Noel can really improve on that lap time, or is that going to be the pole lap time?
So one final lap, final twist in the tail for the pole position here. Casey Sobel is going to be one of the final drivers to complete lap number 2. And some drivers, by the way, giving up on 3. I guess if they've got an off track already, then they would do. Sobel hasn't got a lap in yet, though. With that first lap, well, not quite as wide as you need to be out of the final turn there. And again, not quite representative of what Casey Sobel might be able to do, and we'll need another lap. Brian Rodriguez hasn't set a time yet either. But certainly not the only one. Zachary Page, who's quite a strong contender normally, has not set a time yet. And even his disallowed one's not so far towards the front. So yeah, he'll be looking to improve. Brian Rodriguez blinking quite badly now. Here come the final times. And Luis Rios is going to set these final times off at the front of the field. And Justin Knoll will not be too far behind as they all fire down into the final corners. Luis Rios, those beneficiaries, who's graduated into a Pro Ben driver lineup now, stays 13th with that lap time. Can't improve at all. What about Justin Knoll? Can he put this one out of distance for the rest of them? He's got the chance to really set the benchmark here because he's one of the early ones over the line. That lap time is no quicker. So lap 1 for Noel was the best, but he still can't be beaten. Elias Roman there at 1/10 behind him. Can't get past the current pole sitter. Here comes Justin Bassett over the line. He can't do it either. This lap time from Justin Noel might well stand the test of time.
Just an impressive lap time he was able to set on the first lap, because we're seeing a lot of these guys improve on that second lap, and he was the only one not to improve, or at least one of the few.
Watch out the final, the first corner rather. Done with the session. Looks like Justin Noel has done enough here to take the pole position. Now the session's going to get a little bit more strange, as I'm not quite sure who's completed all their lap times and who hasn't to this point, but some of them will continue on just for a bit of practice here. And you mentioned the track temperature, only 19 degrees Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. We just saw the time of day. I think it was before 10 o'clock in the morning, might be before 9 in the morning. So you do wonder whether this is going to be a qualifying session where the temperature is way, way lower than what we might end up seeing in the race. Now, obviously we don't know that yet until we transport forward, but just wonder how much of this practice will be useful going up if the track temperature doubles, certainly doubles Celsius-wise, in the next few moments when they get into the race. Could be a very different race to the qualifying session.
7 going on a little bit of adventure right before the chicane. In these GT3 cars, that last sector, like in Formula cars, you can go flat out through 16, 17, but like in these GT cars, they don't have enough downforce to keep it right on the ground. You have to lift a little bit to get through there.
Such an amazingly committed corner when you get it right. It's very entertaining indeed. Over the line for Louis Rios. Stays where he is. I think he's just doing practice laps now. I don't think he has actually any times remaining. As I said before, I'm not sure anybody really does. Garrett Wickham's been out there for a while, certainly third currently in the beneficiaries class with the 16th place overall run. Up through No Name now, and on the way towards Pouon for what is a bit of a nightmare in the Porsche, really. It's always struggled keeping its rear downforce in check, and sometimes can go for wild spins through Pouon. One of the things with these GT3 cars, they all behave slightly differently at all these different circuits, and I'm not sure which is the fancy car around here particularly, but I know that overall the Mustang's been quite strong. The recent 24-hour has been here, of course, as well in iRacing, which has probably given everybody a very good idea as to what might be a good manufacturer to be around Spa. But this is a championship, of course. That's an individual race. You've got to pick a car that you're comfortable with for the entire duration of the season.
Yeah, in that 24-hour race, I think we saw a lot of Ferraris and a lot of McLarens running in that top split, but like some of the front runners were running cars that at least when I was doing research and stuff, we didn't think we were going to be at the front. Max Verstappen Sim Racing was running a BMW that many thought was not going to be quick enough through Sector 2 and Sector 3 to really be competitive, but it ended up being pretty competitive. And there's a lot of different cars here that we saw in that spot 24 hours.
Yeah.
I think we only had one Porsche, and I want to say there was no Corvettes. We had a handful of Mustangs. So it's a little more Porsche is nice, but you mentioned it. Like it's a twitchy car. It is not as easygoing as it used to be.
I can't say I've never driven the Corvette either, but it's I've heard similar reviews sometimes. A very different base, of course, to a Corvette compared to a Porsche, but I've heard sometimes stability is not is found wanting a little bit in a Corvette, and of course that again, quite apart from the fact that that's an individual race, it's also a very long race. It's only a 45-minute affair. Means that you can get away with a little bit more twitchiness. This is the sort of distance, I think, back to the days when GT3s were first introduced into iRacing, and the Audi would always be eating up a distance like this compared to the Mercedes, back when those were the main two manufacturers, really going head-to-head for quite some time. But the longer the race went, the more favourable the Mercedes came, as its stability was more valuable the longer the race that went on. So you do get these disparities throughout leads and distances and all that sort of thing. Like Naranjo completes his session. I think, again, without any more laps to give here. Oh no, did have a lap, excuse me. He's left that very late, and it looks like he's taken an open class pole. So going for the strategy of waiting to see what everybody else does, see what the benchmark is, and then go out and beat it. And Naranjo's timed that pretty much perfectly.
By 0.08 of a second, too. Like, that was close. That was a well-timed lap from him.
About 20 seconds to go in the session. Very, very well timed indeed. But let's take a look at the grid in its entirety first. Justin Knoll with the pole position ahead of Elias Roman by less than 0.2 of a second. Justin Bassett third, ahead of Martin Wallace, Nolan Nuke, and then Marco Naranjo, who we just saw there, getting to open pole with 6th place overall. Mitch Herrick would have thought he had that there. He's 7th now, though, ahead of Tyler Manning. Joshua Muir, the championship leader there, of course, as we saw earlier, along with Andrew Cooper on row 5. Karen Lackney's the best of the beneficiaries in 11th in front of Cam Jordan, who is 12th. Michael Huggins and Trevor H then on row 7 in front of Chance Sheffield and Louis Rios. Garrett Wickham and Evan Kerr on row 9. Running up the top 20 is Brandon Mateo and Nick Batista. Outside the top 20, Damien Castro and Zachary Bass in 22nd. Jason McSparron and Richard Davenport then on row 12. Sean Brymer and Ryan Castro next on row 13 in front of Stephen Rayner and Dave Bell. Casey Sobel and Raymond Sampson round out the top 30, with Ray Richardson and Kenny Gutierrez the final drivers to set times. I can also tell you that Brian Rodriguez and Devin Anderson did not get times in throughout that session. There's the conditions. Only 9:30 in the morning, and it's staying the same. So a cool day here at Spa in the middle of August, which will be a bit of a relief to the drivers. Again, it's only a 45-minute race, so the effects of these things are slightly diminished. But nevertheless, it's a cool track temperature. You're going to see these tyres really pushed to the maximum because you can afford to in conditions like these.
I think you have to keep in mind for this first lap or two, you're still going to be cold. So you got to, I think, take your time bringing them in, and then you can go flat out.
Let's see how they do that as they get underway for this formation lap. The short formation lap, a little bit longer these days. Starting just before turn 13 rather than just before Blanchimont, which will give you no time at all. A few corners here to work these tyres up to temperature, and look, well, they are doing it quite vigorously as well. It's not the formation laps, even this being a short formation lap, the formation laps we used to see where everyone would just drive around in a straight line because tyres would be preheated in a GT3. Not the case anymore, and you mentioned having to bring them in. Actually getting them up to temperature in the first place, very, very tricky. No pit stops or no tyre changes expected throughout pit stops where this is going to be a factor in the middle of the race, but it's definitely a factor at the start of the race.
Well, and you have the immediate corner of La Source, a hard right-hander, a Rouge and Rowdy, and really don't warm up the tires. Then you have the heavy braking zone into the comb, so like you really do need some warm tires here to keep yourself straight.
Let's see how they get on here down towards turn 1 especially. As you mentioned, La Source is a very tight and difficult corner. It's also very important for your run right the way to Les Combes on this first lap, which is where you expect to see a lot of the overtaking here at Spa. An iconic GT3 circuit visited by leagues aplenty through the iRacing seasons, and for good reason as well. The 7-kilometre circuit about to play host to the Operation eMotorsport iRacing series once again. This time for round 4. Out of the final turn, and now the field in the control of Justin Knoll up towards the top finish line, and now he goes with a pretty good reaction from Justin Bassett on the inside. Elias Roman sort of asleep in the McLaren. He was nowhere near the race leader as the green flag dropped there, and Justin Bassett's been able to get alongside him as a result. The side-by-side allows Justin Knoll to power out of La Source on the opening lap, and he's already got a few car lengths over the rest of the field.
A well-timed start, but has he broken away enough to not be a victim of the draft?
Oh! Jeez, I've no idea. Oh, and he hasn't saved it. Big cross over the top of the hill, and that's the open class pole sitter, Marco Naranjo. I was wondering how he'd saved it. It was only brief. He was soon in the wall at the top of the hill. We'll see a full replay of that in a moment as Roman wins that second place back again. Justin Knoll did have enough of the gap. That is the worry when you get out front there onto the Kemmel Straight. that you get dragged back by the slipstream, but Noel did have enough of a margin. Elias Roman also had enough speed to pass Bessett, who now goes wide, and Nolan Yuke passes him, moving up into third place.
I think we had another spinner back through the field as well. Like a McLaren, the 11 of Andrew Cooper losing several spots. I think he got a little bit loose coming out of those corners and on to the rumble strips.
The 11 losing 11 so far in the opening sector of the race. Ideal. And slightly top trendy. This is what happened to Ranho, who I guess thought he was clear from the Mustang, saved it initially, and then it's a hard hit over the top of the hill there. I'm not sure who the Mustang actually is at the moment, but yeah, there was bound to be a crash, unfortunately. When you make contact coming up the hill like that, it's always going to end in the wall, and sadly it did for the open class pole sitter on that occasion. And Joshua Muir able to step through into 6th place in the class lead, and that was a car off just in front of these guys battling for now 2nd place. Elias Roman with a twitch coming out of the Kurt Poufrère, and he's straight into the wall as well on this chaotic opening lap.
To promote Bessett up to 1st in class, and now this fight that you see on your screen is effectively for the lead in class. The 2 blue striped cars and the 2 purple cars for all fighting for position.
In the final corners, and finally it will calm down as they come over the straight start-finish straight. It needs to does at the front in towards turn 1. And Justin Noel leads by 2.5 seconds already in front of Justin Bessett. Has this race swing got away from the others already? Feels like it may well have done. Justin Bessett leading the charge in 2nd, ahead of Nolan Yuke, then Mark Wallace, then Joshua Muir in the top 5. Tyler Manning, Cameron Lackney, so a class leader for the beneficiaries in this group as well. Here comes Yuke on Justin Bessett in towards Lecombe. Is he helping him, or is he going to try and overtake him? He's going to help him by the looks of things, getting in behind the BMW. Meantime, Tyler Manning pulls out the way. Might have had a slowdown penalty there. He seemed to be almost letting Cameron Lackney through, which would have been a strange call were it not a slowdown penalty, which I suspect it probably was.
Yeah, I think he got a little too far over going into Radion and had to get a 2 or 3 second penalty. This is another issue. Oh, that was a big hit. The 27, who's gotten the meatball flag, and then Gary Wickham, your points leader. That's going to be big.
Yeah, definitely more to lap 1 than just struck through Eau Rouge, as it turns out. Look at all this. Still smoke hanging in the air as Ray Richardson tries to get turned back round the right way again. Seems to be struggling to do so. And this is what happened to Elias Roman. We just caught a glimpse of it. It's over the inside curb and into the gravel. Bit of a twitch. And the McLaren goes the other way, and he's in the wall. So, goodness me, so much going on the opening lap here of this race. And now Joshua Muir on lap 2. He's the open class pole sitter. Sorry, not pole sitter, but race leader, sorry. In towards Stavolo seems to have had trouble. So, being towards the front at the moment is seeming like a bit of a curse early on in this race.
I was watching him a little bit struggling with the handling through Radion and Rouge, and I think he just turned it in too tight. The Ford doesn't have as much front downforce as some of these other European cars, and there was someone that went behind him too that followed right in his tire tracks.
There seemed to be another open class driver, although I didn't spot who it was exactly. Now Michael Huggins leads the way in the open class, the red numbers on the left-hand side. So we go aboard with Nolan Yuke here to continue his chase of Justin Bessett. It's an interesting battle between these two. Yuke so far on the last lap anyway seemed to be trying to help Bessett catch up to Justin Noel maybe. Is he going to see that as a forlorn hope quite quickly, and is he going to make a pass, or is he going to keep going with this? He's bump drafting the BMW much more on this lap, and showing intent, I think, that these two are going to work together at least early on.
I think the benefit of trying to get Noel at the moment for both of them is greater than the effects of fighting each other and bringing Wallace and Manning into the conversation.
I think that probably is the motivation. But Wallace is able to stay with them for now in their slipstream. Tyler Manning leading the charge for next in line. So many drivers already having come in, by the way, and there's still more in there now. Mark and Naranjo coming out now. But 7 of the 34 starters have been in already. It's about a fifth of the field. So fairly big casualties on the opening lap. And you do sometimes see this around here at Spa, even though in some places there's quite ample runoff really for you to make mistakes. You can still see some very, very busy starts, as we certainly have here today.
When everyone's so bunched up in those first few corners in La Source and then going into Lacombe, it's really hard to avoid the chaos of that first lap. You have to really trust everyone around you and hope your car is up to par.
Down the brakes into the stop chicane again for Bassett. We'll start to feel a little bit more relaxed with Luke behind him like that, because the assistance that's being offered means probably no overtake just for the moment. As we back to Richard Davenport, one of our drivers you won't see appearing in our standings, by the way, here through this season. He and Damien Castro were officially ineligible to score any points in the series because they're admins, but they still will still be on the grid and still be having fun. So see them still on the grid. You won't see them in the points that we show before the race. As towards Lacombe again, it's the same story again. Nolan Nuke staying behind Justin Bassett. Behind Tyler Manning under pressure from Cameron Lackney. It's a little bit wide from Manning, which sort of brought this battle on for 5th position. But Manning able to hold the place, and Cameron Lackney with a decision to make really. Do you try and attack Manning for 5th place and risk allowing Cam Jordan, who's also in your class, to get involved, or does he just sit here behind Manning even while he makes a small mistake, as Manning did, to just allow that battle to spring into life for a brief moment through Lacombe on that last lap?
Yeah, I think trying to put the gap, trying to put a car in between yourself and another in your class, I think is going to be key. So I think the 802 is going to want to get this move done sooner rather than later if he feels the 14's holding them up. Right now they're about even in lap time.
Through the middle sector and out for these guys. Hackney with 2 seconds now over Jordan, just a little bit more of a buffer here. Just 9 minutes gone of this 45-minute race. We will see pit stops at some point here today, but as I mentioned earlier, very unlikely to see any tyres taken by anybody unless there's a mistake, I suppose, made by anybody. See those pit stops in the distant future. At the moment, it's very much a stalemate for this, certainly top 10 in the opening stages of this race. Very, very much a contrast to the opening couple of manic moments that we saw here on lap number 1. It has really calmed down since then.
I think now tires are up to temperature, everyone's in a rhythm, everyone kind of knows who they need to be fighting over these next few minutes. I think Yuke is going to make a run here, maybe to get Bassett or just push him again down the straightaway.
Same story again out front. I mean, yeah, it's still. I mean, starting to wonder actually whether this is more actually fuel saving for Yuke now that this goes up, rather than actually. I mean, he has, I suppose, succeeded in the objective of distancing all the others behind Bassett and Yuke and Wallace, but it's got to just be fuel saving at this point. I suppose that's the sensible thing to do with the pit stop still to come. It's no point trading positions each lap, because if he overtakes Bassett, the likelihood is he's going to be re-overtaken on the very next lap. So you can see his point. As much as we'd like to see them overtaking one another often, you can see why they're hesitant to do so. As Yuke really runs wide through Paul there, and he was using off track there.
And it's not going to be in terms of laps that you're going to be saving fuel, I think, for these runs. It's more of just time spent in pit lane, filling up and getting out, making that delta as little as possible. You may be able to get like one lap just because this track is so big, but this is mainly about shortening that time that you're to spend in pit lane.
Yeah, much as he can. And Duke is under a bit more pressure from Wallace at this time, just after that little wide moment we saw. And stay as they are coming into the bus stop again. Changing the back end of the top 10 though. Joshua Muir getting past Evan Kurt. So Joshua Muir recovering some of these positions that he lost in that spin through Stavolo earlier on. I mentioned him struggling to get a handle on that car. Well, hopefully he's getting a little bit more of that now. A little bit more feeling back, because it looked like he sailed through into the top 10 really. He's actually already left Evan Kurt behind by a second or so. So he's on his way back here, potentially back to challenging for the open class race lead.
Yeah, and those open cars are 8th, 9th, and 10th are all right in a row, so that's an interesting fight to watch even before pit stops, and I think we're going to actually get a change for second here.
Well, this is unexpected. Nolan Newt goes to the inside of Justin Bassett and takes second place away. So after 13 minutes of fuel saving and assisting one another in running away from the rest of the field, and unsuccessfully trying to catch Justin Knoll, Nolan Newt decides to go past. And for all the theories we've been throwing out, at least 3 of them in the last 15 minutes, unsure again as to quite why he's chosen this as the moment to get past Bassett, because if he was going all out attack, he certainly had opportunities more recently than that one just there to actually make the pass here.
Maybe he's thinking, like, you know, we saw this in the spot 24 hour, like this could be his in lap, but maybe you can pit now and make it on the fuel with the fuel setting and run the last 30 laps if there's a good gap towards the end of the field, which there is at the moment. That's the interest. See Damian Castro having a bit of an adventure through the Fanges. That's not exactly where you want to be stopped.
No. Not my going again. As mentioned, Castro and Davenport on the on the admin list, as it were, and therefore not scoring points in towards the final chicane. And as they were, at least as they were coming into Les Combes on the previous lap. You can see in the background Manning and Lackney fighting for 5th position, away from Cam Jordan as it stands in that top 6. Now, will there be actually Manning's made a mistake through La Source. See whether he jumped or he was pushed, but he's certainly lost that top 5 now to Cameron Lackney. Over the top of the hill then, is there going to be a reversal of this as you've got past last time? Will Bassett just come straight back past on this occasion, I wonder? As he comes up towards Les Combes now. He's nowhere near close enough. And Wallace is nowhere near close enough either. So Duke has been successful here, and I wonder whether he's actually able to get away completely and maybe break the slipstream to Justin Bassett, perhaps.
Yeah, I think Uke realized he was faster, and it's also, I wouldn't say it's Bassett's prerogative to fight these cars, because while on the timing it does say 666 is a blue, a pro, that he is considered pro Ben on the roster, so he's purple, and so with the 802, so he's pro Ben. So right now there's really no one challenging for this pro lead, so I don't think Bassett really needs to fight them if it's going to slow him down.
Oh no. See what he values more, the overall position or the class, as he gets slowed down now by traffic. This is one of the Porsches that was in the wars earlier through lap 1, and Bassett's now going up the inside of trying to through Stavolo, sort of half committing to that. Never what you really want to do. Now out of Curve Porfrere, he's been slowed dramatically by the Porsche. So what does he do? He get out the way of Wallace completely, or does he try to hold on to this top 3 which he currently holds, coming in towards Blanchimont. He's so close behind his Wallace, maybe almost too close. See if he has a lunge here into the bus stop or whether he just lifts off. He's sort of shown the outside by Bessett. Brakes late enough. He's on the inside for the second part, but nice line from Bessett round the outside. He holds on to third. He wants this overall position. Fast position, I suppose.
I think Bessett's sending the message that if you want to go get Nolan Duke, you're going to have to earn it from me first, because this is also dragging Cameron Lackney into the fight, and that slower car, like the damage on that Porsche slowed them down a lot coming through LaFange's campus and stuff.
I just wonder how sensible this is from Bessett, but that's what he's deciding to do at the moment. Wallace in the slipstream has another chance. He looks to the inside at Lecombe, trying to get in the mirrors, but not able to get past on this occasion. And the longer he spends behind Bessett, the more stuck he could potentially get in this fourth position. So he's got to try and move on this relatively quickly if he can.
Because Bessett, there's no harm in him defending this position, and there's no benefit for him, but there is a benefit for Wallace to get by, because it gets him close to Uke and away from Lackney.
Yeah. Well, can he manage that before Lackney arrives in the group? I mean, he's not far away from doing that. Here's Tyler Manning in the bottom of his screen, just behind Cam Jordan for sixth position overall. And this is actually at the head of what's being really created as a big group now, the open class leaders in 8th, 9th and 10th, but closing in quite quickly. Out of Manning. Whoop, he's back again. He's just having a little bit of trouble at the moment. Still in 7th though. As Wallace just a few tenths further behind Bessett than what he was earlier on in this lap. He needs to get a bit closer than this, or he's not going to try it here in the bus stop. He needs to be closer than this though if he wants to have another go into Lecombe this time round.
I think he's going to have to also be aware of Lackney behind. I mean, they're similar lap times right now, almost, but Lackney's about 2/10 quicker on the last lap, so I think he's going to have to make a move here sooner rather than later.
I'll have to. Here we go, down the old pit straight, if you like, towards the famous Rouge and Radion corners. And Wallace is certainly close enough this time. Last time he couldn't even make Bessett defend. This time he's got him looking in his mirrors. He doesn't go on the inside here, Bessett. Has he finally given up this one? He's going to hang it round the outside for the inside of the second part, but Wallace just drives right round him and into position. Now, Bessett turns underneath him, goes back to the inside. Down the inside into Bruxelles. They were on a collision course for a moment there. Just about able to keep it out the side of the Porsche there, Justin Bessett. He's now on the outside, going into No Name corner. He'll have to switch back here. Can he switch back to get alongside him before Pouon? He looks left and right. He looks again. He'll have to go to the outside. It's a long, long way round there. And he switches back again. This battle going on for getting on for half a lap now. Better line through the second part of Pouon, might give him a run into this chicane, but finally Wallace can enter a corner without thinking about defending. And after multiple corners of that battle, he's into third place.
The big beneficiary is Lackney, because all of a sudden he's been drawn into this fight for what should be a class podium at the end of this race.
Yeah, well, he certainly has been the winner of this battle between these two. But here comes Bessett again. Lackney will just watch on from 5th position here, as Bessett looks to the outside into Blanchimont. Didn't really have anywhere to go there. It's hard to get, and again, he's in the situation Wallace was, where he's almost too close. And now he's too far back by the time you get to an overtaking chance. So is that now, or is Wallace going to be dragged back into this by Bessett on the way towards Lecombe in a similar way as to what happened when these two were reversed, with Bessett in third position. Big exit out of La Source going up here.
It's also beneficial, at least for Lackney, is that the McLaren is one of the best aerodynamic cars in this GT3 field, so he's going to get a double slipstream coming down the straight. That's going to be huge.
As for those two behind Wallace, have not really gotten good enough exits, seems to me. Going out La Source that time. Feels like it's just going to be kept within the slipstream rather than actually be able to make anything happen here by the end of the straight. As they come towards Lecombe, no chance. They all stay in one long line, and Wallace will be feeling he's done the hard part now. He's over the hill. Now can he try and distance or at least keep Bessett at arm's length here before these pit stops, which are approaching relatively soon.
Yeah, a couple drivers already been in. Elias Roman, Nicholas Batista for the Pro Class have already been in. Stephen Arenas in. Castro, I believe, was speeding in the pit lane, so we might have to come back. About a third of the field now taking their chance to pit now.
Yeah, no surprise given the time in the race. The halfway stage fast approaching. There's a replay meantime for Dave Bell. We talked to a couple of weeks ago. I think he might have been trying to pit there. Andrew Cooper not quite realising, smashing straight into the back of him, coming in towards the bus stop. It's not the most egregious pit entry in the world round here, but it is also not the easiest either. And yeah, I think that's what Cooper may have been caught out. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed to me like Bell was going a little bit slower than normal through the bus stop, and that's what Cooper was very much caught out by there in that run towards the bus stop that time round. These three are staying out, but that's Wallace going wide, and this is another good chance for Bessett to come back at Wallace and try and regain that third place again.
He's going to have to set this corner up, and I think, again, they're going to have to both look in their review mirrors for Lackney because he's almost touching the rear bumper of Bessett.
The exit out of La Source is just left wanting a little bit again. Lackney might be in the best position now to get that double slipstream again. Maybe make an overtake himself over the top of the hill. Good line from all of them there. That's the most aggressive from Lackney, who's right in the slipstream now. Is there a chance into Lecombe? No, not this time. Lackney yet still stays behind, but these three do seem closer than ever now as they get to the middle sector on this lap.
This is where the McLaren, I think, does have an advantage over the two in front of him. The BMW has the advantage, I think, down the straights in terms of raw power. The Porsche is kind of the middle ground between the two.
Interesting the way that these manufacturers are reacting with one another at the moment. See again the battle for 7th on what screen. We said it was developing. Also different manufacturers getting together down there. Here comes Bessett meantime into the camper chicane. On the outside though, coming into the first part. And for whatever reason, Wallace does seem now very vulnerable now that he's in the lead of this group, whereas he just didn't quite look like that when he was behind Bessett. He looked like he was the one with all the answers, but now he is looking vulnerable and very defensive of this third position. Oh!
Whoa!
Good save from Bessett, but I'm afraid a dramatically off-track moment and takes him right out of the group. Now Lackney actually got a better run there and might have overtaken Bessett anyway, because he's overtaking Wallace in towards the chicane. Looks to the outside line. Can't do it there quite, but yeah, that was a big save from Justin Bessett there. It's a good job he's still even in the race, never mind in this battle for third. It's allowed Lackney though to step forward and maybe take 2 positions in a matter of moments here.
A tighter line from Lackney was a much better exit, so he's going to have a huge run, I think, coming to Lecombes.
Looks like it. up the hill. Whoa, that's going to be a slowdown for Wallace. That will be that. A very, very obvious cut over the top of the hill there from Martin Wallace. He's got to now try and serve this cleverly. Now, how's he going to do this? Surely he hasn't got away with that. He must be having a slowdown here. So he's just going to try and do this while not losing a place at all to Lackney. I find that difficult to believe. Now he's pulling to the inside and he has to. Well, he's trying to keep the inside. Lackney knows what's happening here, though. Goes right round the outside. Now Wallace needs to really slow down because he's got to be careful of actually not getting a heavier penalty for not serving his slowdown properly. But looks like he's served it, and to be fair, he has done it without losing too much time.
It's like the cheeky, you know, DRS shenanigans that we saw in Formula One. You know, you're trying your best to, I'm going to just serve it in the most opportune position to get the time back anyway.
As long as he doesn't take anybody off in doing so, then I suppose it's fine. But anyway, it's a loss of place anyway for Wallace, and it seemed like it was coming because he was under pretty severe pressure by Lackney, who's now actually getting away, and that wasn't the case when Wallace got past Bessett, or the other way round. They were very much pinned together, and you could argue they still are, but Lackney is very much getting away here. A little bit lap traffic here for Lackney meantime, as maybe doesn't want to make a pass on it because there might be stops happening here. Noel and Nuke are both in, and these three all in as well, so it seems that they can't go on any further, and they're all into pit lane. This meantime is a replay of what happened to Justin Bessett a couple of moments ago, and yeah, what a good save it was through the gravel there.
Looks like Wallace got out of shape first, and then Bessett got like the latter end of that destabilized air and then running off track, and that made it much worse for him.
And who's going out first? Obviously Justin Noel first of everybody, then Noel and Nuke. And what about this other battle? Bessett's going to be out first. Wallace's stop was ages, and Cameron Lackney's even longer. Justin Bessett beats the other two out pretty comfortably, actually, in the end. That is quite remarkable, considering the order in which they went in. Now, the question, of course, is going to be for Bessett, does he actually have enough fuel to get to the end? Because he's got the shortest stop in the top six. Elias Roman, who stopped 5 laps ago, has got a shorter one. He's the only one who's got a shorter one than he inside the top 12. So that'll be a concern for Bessett. But if he has got enough fuel, it's a great feat of strategy and you know, a calculation, if you like, to put the right amount of fuel in to jump Wallace and Lackney and get back into third again.
At third overall, and he's got 2 cars in between himself and the nearest class member, which is Manning. And I think he actually gapped Manning too in that stop by about 2 seconds, which was the difference on his stop. Everyone had 16-second stops apart from Elias Roman, who was 14 seconds, and then Bessett, who was 14 and a half.
These pit stops always do make some minor changes to the field. They're not major stops, just enough fuel to get you to the end of the race, but they always do change and shuffle the order. They certainly have here. Now, does this give Bessett the chance to run away and finish third without trouble? I very much doubt it, but he's nevertheless got the position for now. Coming through the curve pull fret, he's what, 8 tenths or so in front of Wallace, who in turn is a second in front of Lackney. If you remember how Lackney actually caught up to these two in the first place, it was a battle between Bessett and Wallace which really sealed the deal. So maybe Cameron Lackney's going to require one of those to catch up again, but it doesn't seem too much like it's going to happen at the moment.
It kind of depends on how each of them are handling at the end of the race. It felt like Lackney was like just a tenth or two faster than Wallace. Even actually getting out of the bus stop there, Wallace looked like he was struggling to put the power down right away.
Maybe just a little bit unsettled with this at the moment. Out of turn 1. And Lackney's closer to Wallace than Wallace is to Bessett. I don't think close enough to actually make an overtake quite. On the way towards Lecombe here. Over the top of the hill. That's Radion. And yeah, these guys are all too spaced apart, but I think there's definitely more to this story. There's definitely another twist in the tail between these three, but it's impossible, it feels to me, to predict in what order these three are going to finish in. This will be the fight of the race, coming to the checkered flag in 15 minutes' time.
Yeah, it's for overall third, and then that third in the podium for your Pro Ben class. And the nice thing for Bissett is his nearest pro counterpart, Manning, is a couple seconds back, although Manning, Roman, Muir, and Batista all in that pro class, like that could really shake up, because Joshua Muir's leading the points. He's tied with Bissett right now, and he would, I think, fall behind Mitch Herrick as well, if he's not careful.
Yeah, getting to that stage in the season where it's going to get sort of complicated points-wise. I do believe there is a drop in this series. Yeah, best 6 of 8. So that does make things quite complicated, especially at this stage in the season. But nevertheless, could be a change in championship leader, or a sole championship leader rather than a tied one, as we've had for not only today but quite a lot of the season so far. Lackney is now much closer to Wallace as they come towards Blanchemont. There might be a chance towards the bus stop. Not a great exit from Wallace at the previous turn, and Lackney's just too far behind. But Wallace is slipping into his clutches now, and Salam best just for the moment. Is it allowing Lackney to make this pass here and move back into fourth position? I'd say, I think that McLaren does look the quickest of the three we're seeing out front at the moment.
The Porsche just seems unsettled a little bit, just getting on the throttle coming out of these tighter corners. So out of the source, out of the bus stop, it just doesn't, I think, grip up as well as the McLaren is, because Lack has been able to get much better exits. Although this time Wallace got a really good exit out of the source and might have saved himself from an attack this lap.
It's like it. A little bit of a different line taken by Wallace there on the Camel Straight, suggesting that he's looking in his mirrors. I suppose he would be. Lackney was that close behind, and looks like he's done enough to stave off the attack for one more lap at least. Our system's here predicting that there will be 20 laps in this race, and that we're coming towards the end of lap 15 at the moment. I'm not sure that is accurate, to be honest with you. I think there's going to be 5 more at the.
Might be close.
That is right, isn't it? There'll be 5 more. I just can't do 15 plus 5. That's good. Yeah, 5 more after this one. I think it might well be close here for Justin Knoll. Really depends how quick our race leader goes. But of course, the answer to that is very so far. Last time round, 2:15.9, which would have been good enough for a top 5 in qualifying. That's what he just did in the middle of this race. Obviously the fastest lap of anybody on that last lap time. We haven't spoken about him much because he's been leading by so long, but a deserving race leader, and he's built that margin that he has as well with his speed tonight.
Yeah, he got out front fairly quickly, and then the fighting in behind gave him a gap, and this car's just been on rails. And I think Nolan Uke also deserves a shout out, because the gap has stabilized a little bit between those two, but he's also pulled out a 10-second gap over everyone else.
The line that will be 5 laps to go officially. Just over 10 minutes, 16.8 last time round, so back to reality a little bit, and actually 2 tenths quicker, Nolan Uke. Putting a good race himself, actually, in second. But the gap that was created for Justin Knoll on the opening lap, coming out of pretty much coming out of the source on the very start, actually, as the fight for second pretty much began straight away between Bessett and Uke, it was at the time. That margin has never been given up by Justin Knoll, and he still leads by that gap. Justin Bessett is not quite clear of Wallace and Lackney just yet. Nearly, but not quite yet. Lackney is getting into the slipstream, giving another go on towards Lecombe, and these laps are passing by, and Wallace is continuing to hold 4th place here despite the pressure by Lackney, and this lap, it's the same story. Lackney still can't get past.
slower traffic could play a role, though. This is a damaged McLaren from that lap 1 chaos that could slope a set down.
There's plenty of lap traffic in this race. There's 24 of 34 on the lead lap. There's a lot of retirements in that, down in the bottom 10, but nevertheless, plenty of drivers. I think this is Stephen Rayner. Oh, and they slowed down there. Very much like that David Coulthard, Michael Schumacher moment in the very same place. Thankfully, it wasn't raining and they could see what was happening, but Justin Bassett very nearly drove straight into the back of him there. Wasn't expecting Rayner to be slowing down at that point. That was remarkable symmetry. Very nearly with the same outcome, but Bassett just about got past in time. Here comes Wallace as well, trying to make it obvious that he's coming down the inside, but he's not going to let that happen in the corners. And that, well, has that sealed the place for Bassett? Feels like it might have done. Has it given Lackney a chance here? Very possibly, as now the McLaren's going to get out the way on the left-hand side. Not too readily, though. Lackney wonders who to follow here in terms of getting the slipstream, and now the McLaren will get out the way on the inside at this more opportune moment to do so towards Blanchemont. Here comes Cameron Lackney, maybe stepping into that, maybe with that chance. Outside lining towards the bus stop. Really didn't even get alongside Wallace there. Coming to 4 laps to go now to make this pass.
It's going to have probably 8 more opportunities. You see Castro and the Mercedes. That's a big impact for the 4 machine. I believe that's going to be done and dusted. This is maybe what happened to the 21 that led him into the clutches of our lead group here. Just spun it around in the source on his own. Ooh, that was close. That's our leader there.
Close. And that is an extravagant way to turn around. I'll say that much. Now, I think that's Nolan Yuke, so that was our leader. It will be breathing a sigh of relief now. That was Nolan Yuke in the Porsche there as well. And now these 3 have gotten through as well. Thankfully, without incident, but I think Cameron Lackney will be disappointed that he couldn't take advantage of that, because Wallace was really slowed down by that bit of lap traffic there. And Lackney couldn't take advantage of it to make the pass for 4th place.
I think Wallace has now settled down into a much better rhythm, because you mentioned he was unsettled kind of when they came out of the pits. And now he's like settled down and got into a much better defensive rhythm to keep Lackney at bay.
You begin to wonder, after seeing that, I wonder whether we're going to see this position change again here for 4th position, or whether Wallace has got this one locked down now. Still got 3 laps after this one to hold on, which is a long way around here at Spa, one of the longer circuits in the calendar, 2nd longest behind Le Mans, obviously. It's coming up later on in this season, penultimate round, just out of the curveball threat. Wallace still in front of Lackney. Still doing enough here, to be honest, to keep him at arm's length here. What can Lackney do? How can he manufacture an opportunity to make this pass for 4th position? Down in towards the bus stop chicane, and it's the same old story. Looks to the outside. Again, can't make the pass, but Wallace goes a bit wide this time. And Lackney's got to capitalise on one of these opportunities.
He forced the defensive, and then he ruined his exit, so now they're going to be side by side into the source, and this could even slow Wallace down even more.
Spin in the background for Tyler Manning, meantime, by the way, out of 6th place, but here comes Lackney. Oh, he almost didn't know where to go there. Almost crashed into the back of Martin Wallace as he was exiting the source down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Raidillon. And has he got too close? No, it's a good exit over Raidillon this time. And he's alongside before they even get through the right-handed kink before the Kemmel Straight itself. A very distant slipstream offered up by Justin Bassett, but not sure it's necessary. The McLaren has the exit speed, has the straight line speed. Wallace, though, on the brakes, fights back. Round the outside for Lackney, gives the inside of the 2nd part. Wallace out into the stones there, out wide, but still holds on. Inside into Malmedy. Lackney trying to go around the outside of these 2 right-handers. He has got his nose in front and now dives ahead of Wallace, who dives trying to get that place back again. Lackney, though, is able to stay in front. And after all that fighting, after all that work, Cameron Lackney has finally moved up into 4th position.
That's going to be third in the Pro Ben class. And I think there was a problem in the Pro class. Your tied points leader, I believe, in the Ford, Joshua Muir just, I believe, crashed or had an internet issue because he has fallen out of the orders.
Yeah, down to 13th now. Now, Tyler Manning had a spin out of the final corner on this previous lap. We're hearing that that's not related, though. We're hearing that this one is Fruo Rouge for Muir. Here we'll be able to see it in the Mustang, which is normally one of the more planted GT3s. That was a very sudden step away, and he's looking not to make more contact with the wall, but the damage is done really in the time lost. A very, very sudden spin indeed.
Trying to double check to make sure like how many positions in the Pro that he lose. It looks like only the one to Manning. So good news is, you know, points are still okay, a 5th place finish in class, but he's going to be limping on the way home.
As I say, the class positions are really the ones that are important, although he's lost quite a few overall. And points are only scored on class positions. Davenport comes to the complex here in the replay. Looks all fine. Oh no, it looked all fine until it didn't. Spinning
I think he jinxed it.
Into the right. Yeah, jinxed it in the replay. And he finds the wall. Here's Mike Wallace again. He's not gaining on that McLaren at all in the sim team here. This is penultimate lap, by the way. The second last chance in towards Lecombe, and it's going to pass Wallace by, although again, that Porsche much stronger on the brakes, as he showed when they were side by side, and he showed by nearly hitting the back of Lackney there on the penultimate lap here. One more time in towards Lecombe, and Wallace has, you feel, got to at least challenge into there.
I think he's going to try maybe a chance in the chicane, but when he's offline, he struggles to get on the power. His lap traffic's also going to play a part in this.
As the BMW just in front, slowing Lackney down. Does that give Wallace the chance here? He gets to the inside into Pouon. He's on a very tight line there, and he has to back out of it. He couldn't have sent it too deep into the turn, otherwise he would have hit the McLaren quite easily. So he does not go for that in the end, but as you say, lap traffic could play such a key role, and it might not be over yet in terms of the lap traffic that we see here. They're really catching up to the bulk of the slower traffic here, although maybe with only one lap to go, there's going to be no more. Wallace to the outside now into Stavelot, forcing Lackney to defend into a corner you don't normally defend at, but he does so well, and actually the exit from Wallace means there's no chance into the bus stop, and the gap grows again.
I don't know if that was more of a passing attempt or just avoid running over Lackney for this podium spot. And that's going to, like you said, like, he's not going to have a chance down in the bus stop unless he really sends it.
I don't think he would send it from here, even if it was the last lap. He's so far back. The penultimate time into the bus stop passes him by as well. And so you're left with one chance into Lecombe and then a last gasp go into the final chicane if it comes to it. I'm not sure this is going to happen for Wallace, but I said that about Lackney about 5 minutes ago, and then he passed pretty much straight away. So let's see. And he has got a very good run out the first corner as well here, Wallace. Now he needs a good run over the top of Eau Rouge as well. Don't forget he had that cut over the top through Radion before, which lost him, I think he was third at the time. Much cleaner over this time, actually very fast over this time. Now he's less than 3 tenths behind. He's almost pulling out already. Oh, and Lackney doesn't know where to go. He goes through the middle of the road. Wallace was expecting him to defend hard, and so goes to the outside anyway. He has his nose in front by the time they hit the brakes at La Source. They're both diving for the apex. Round the outside from Wallace. What a great effort. And he looks like he's got it done. Not only has he gone round the outside through the first part, he's managed to get ahead of him and get clear through the second part as well. That was a very, very clean move round the outside from Wallace. Expertly executed on the last lap, and that might well just give him 4th place.
Lackney has the downforce to try and make a run at him, though. Another fight happening is the 14 and the 67. Manning and Batista are fighting for the last podium spot in the pro category as well.
Yeah, those guys are about 10 seconds behind this fight between Wallace and Lackney. We'll go split screen to try and see them. Manning and Batista there. We'll see Batista in the BMW in 8th place, but further out front Justin Knoll is going to take overall victory here in the Operation eMotorsport iRacing series at Spa. A dominant performance right from turn 1, where he immediately had 0.8 of a second on the very opening lap. After that, just a case of controlling the field, and Justin Knoll crosses the start-finish line to take victory here at Spa tonight, and then flashes lights with delight. Nolan Newton finished in second place, and behind Justin Bessett should go on to take the Pro Class win. The top two both Pro Ben drivers. And what about the fight for fourth as well in the back row? Try and catch a glimpse of it here behind Bessett. Oh my goodness me! That's Nolan Newton having a very big crash. Bessett wins the Pro Class in front of Wallace, who gets ahead of Lackney. There was a bit of switching there towards the line on the timing tower, but not in real life. Evan Kerr's going to take victory in the Open Class in 9th place overall. And in the beneficiaries, it's going to be a non-championship driver who takes the class victory by looks things. Demian Castro looks to take the top spot there in the Open category as well, as it seems everybody's piling into this smash-up at turn number 1 at the end of the race here at Spa tonight. Battle between Wallace and Lackney, very much the entertainment towards the end there, and of course a very clean and nice pass from Wallace to actually make that final position and get into 4th there at the end.
Respectful from both of them, and then also from the set, even though that wasn't really for a class position or for a points-paying position, like they were scrapping it out the entire way. I love this. It's the benefits, I guess, of the virtual world. We get a nice little demolition derby instead of fireworks to celebrate the end of a race.
Well, indeed. I think Jason McSparron as well has made a position to actually get into. Oh, sorry, Richard Davenport, the first of the beneficiaries to come over the line. But in terms of point scorers, McSparron will get the most and gets the beneficiaries class win there. Not sure what happened to Demian Castro at the end there. Maybe it was one of those drivers on the outside of Blanchimont, but not entirely sure. But anyway, there's the smash up in towards turn number 1 from everybody. Still piling towards turn number 1 at the end of this race. It's Justin Knoll who's taking the victory by 11 seconds in front of Nolan. Justin Bessett in the end in 3rd. And Martin Bob Wallace and Cameron Lackney rounding out the top 5. Elias Drummond next ahead of Tyler Manning, who did hold off Nicholas Batista in the end. Evan Kerr wins in the Open Class ahead of Michael Huggins, rounding out the top 10. 11th goes to Cam Jordan, ahead of Joshua Muir, losing no doubt the Pro Championship lead there with 12th. Brandon Mateo finishes 13th, then of Andrew Cooper and Chance Sheffield. Then Richard Davenport, the first of the beneficiaries, but a non-point scorer. Jason McSparron will get the most points of any point scorers. In 17th overall. Mitch Herrick, Casey Serbo, Trevor H rounding out the top 20. Also on the lead lap there was Demian Castro and Brian Rodriguez. 1 lap down for Raymond Sampson. Devin Anderson, Dave Bell, Steve Raynett and Ray Richardson. 2 laps down for Sean Brammett, Kenny Gutierrez and Ryan Castro, rounding up the top 30. And then the retirements, Garrett Wickham, Zachary Bates, Marco Naranjo and Louis Rios, who all were non-finishers at the end of today. Let's have a chat, shall we, to Justin Knoll, who has won this race tonight from Spa. Justin, congratulations on the race victory overall and in class, obviously. It seemed very, very comfortable for you once again here, which has been a bit of a theme recently. Just tell us how comfortable it really was for you in the car there tonight.
Probably not as comfortable as it looked. My setup was a little sketchy, especially on cold tires. It just, don't know, I couldn't get the setup to be as comfortable as I wanted on the rear, so I had to be very careful with that this race. I know I'm not the only person that was having that issue though, so just had to manage the rear.
Well, tell us if that's a characteristic in a car that you actually like, because this is a 45-minute race where actually a twitchier car can be more survivable than, say, a longer endurance race. Is it a characteristic you particularly like to have in a GT3 car, or is it one you're persevering with?
It's something I'm learning to like. I've always tended to like cars that are more, I guess, stable, more well-balanced than loose. But I know loose is fast, and I'm trying to get used to a looser setup. So
certainly seems to be working at the moment. Congratulations, Justin, on the victory here overall tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end there as well.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. That is Justin Olu, who wins in the overall here tonight. Justin Bessett wins in the pro class here and joins us now as well. Justin, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Third place overall, but a pro class victory here today. Tell us about that fight between yourself and Martin Wallace and Cameron Lackney there, because it seemed whoever was in the lead of the group seemed to look the slowest, and then whenever somebody passed the guy at the front, they looked like the slowest again. It was sort of going round in an effect like that. What was it like to be a part of that battle there?
Yeah, the draft was huge, especially coming off my car. It's got a big sail off the back, a lot of shadow to it. But I knew when I came off pit road about a second ahead of Bob that I was far enough out that I could try to outrun the draft, and I think that was my saving grace there. It was a lot of fun running with those guys.
Well, I wanted to ask about the pit stop there as well, because see, I was talking about the first top half of the race there where you were involved in the fight, but you managed to get away from it. Through a pit stop mainly. I initially feared that you didn't have enough fuel for it, but you, in the end you clearly did. How was that sort of? How was your thinking about that going towards the pit stop phase? And were you surprised at the gap that you managed to get there?
I was surprised at the gap I managed to get, because I know the Porsches have a relatively small fuel cell, so they fuel very fast, but I can't give away all the trade secrets, you know.
Well, no, indeed. Keep some of those tips for yourself. And, congratulations on the top three here tonight, Justin. Thanks for chatting to us at the end there as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's Justin Bessett, who wins in the pro class as well as a third overall as well. Also going to chat to Jason McSparrow, who's going to be the first classified of the beneficiaries here today. We're going to bring in Cam Jordan at the end here tonight. Jason, welcome in. Congratulations on being one of the foremost runners in the beneficiaries class. I'm not sure whether you really know what was going on there at the end any more than we did. Demian Castro went on to the last lap leading. Obviously, he's an admin, not scoring points, but still nevertheless in the on our list of beneficiaries. And Richard Davenport slightly in front of you, but also not scoring points. So of those scoring points, you're up towards the front in the beneficiaries tonight. How was the race for you?
The race was a lot of fun. I've been away from home for a little bit, and to come home and be able to run with this group is a lot of fun. It's such an inclusive group, and everybody wants everybody to do well. And I wasn't sure. I watched all that stuff happen on the last lap, and I'm like, if you need somebody to push you because you're out of gas, I'll slow down. And then off into the weeds they went.
Was that a major problem for a lot of people here tonight in terms of getting the right fuel amount? Was everyone surprised by it going one lap further than expected, or was that just a certain few who were struggling tonight on fuel?
There were a few folks that had to pit twice, and I'm not sure if it was something in there with how they were calculating fuel. I ran long enough that I knew if I filled up almost to the top, it would get me to the end, and I had like a gallon of fuel left when we finished up, so I'd have struggled to finish that last lap if we'd had to go that far.
Well, congratulations again on a great run here tonight, Jason, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as always as well.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great evening.
Thanks very much. It's Jason McSparrow chatting to us at the end here tonight. We'll chat to Richard Davenport as well at the moment, another part of that story, but we've kept him waiting long enough. Let's bring in Cam Jordan now as well from the end of this race. Cam, welcome in, and congratulations on a good run tonight. 11th place for yourself. I noticed you were running inside the top 10 for a little while. Just tell us what happened throughout that race tonight.
Hey guys, yeah, a lot of fun tonight. We were just out in the waiting rooms. Absolutely really tight field tonight. I think quality, I don't know if you guys probably saw the numbers. Like, everybody was within like a second for that like top 15 guys. It was really tight. Like, Spa's a great track. I think great group of guys in there. It was an absolute blast. But yeah, I don't know what happened in the pits. Like we were running, I think 9-10, and then we came out of the pits. I think me and I was following Matthew, and we dropped to 12th. Somebody undercut us pretty good, but it was a great run. It was clean and fast.
Yeah, certainly was at that part of the field, all very close through the race. Tell us a little bit about how you've been finding this season and how you've been, or how you found Operation Motorsport rather as a starting point, but also how you've been finding this new season of competition here on iRacing.
Yeah, so this is my first season on iRacing in the league. This is the first league I literally got iRacing to join the Operation Motorsport. I just transitioned from the military, retired after 20 years about 6 months ago, and a friend's, hey, have you heard of these guys? And I've been linked up with Operation Motorsport since about the first of the year, and this absolutely amazing organization and has changed kind of how my transition's gone. And I've made friends here that I've never imagined, and all over the country, and met them at places like the Sim Expo, or I do real world activations as well. So I'm with a team with SRO, Mastering Tires, but it's cool seeing guys out at the tracks, and we talk about how excited we are for the next race, because this is why we all do this. This league makes you forget about how kind of divisive and competitive it is, and you just have fun with a group of people. And it's been so much fun. Absolutely, it's changed my kind of perspective on being a veteran and having a community.
Well, it's great to have you in the series. Great run tonight, Cam, and look forward to seeing you again in the coming weeks.
Hey man, thank you very much. Appreciate having me.
Cheers, thanks very much. That is Cam Jordan, finished 11th overall here tonight, and great to hear the stories of how everybody got joined up here in Operation Motorsport as well. We've talked to Richard Davenport plenty in the past about that sort of thing. We'll bring him in again to chat about tonight's race as well, from his point of view as well. Richard, welcome in, and
hello.
Congratulations on a good run. I can't work out quite how to describe your run at the end of it, obviously, because you're not scoring points as an admin. But nevertheless, no. You're the first beneficiary across the line. So how was your run tonight?
I just mostly tried to keep it clean. I had a little bobble there towards the end, but it was a chaotic race. So I guess I reaped the benefits of it being so chaotic.
Well, absolutely. I mean, were you expecting that early on in the race here? And what did you see of lap one, especially? Because especially if you were starting a little bit further down, it looked very manic.
Right. I think I started 20th, and yeah, there was a lot of, there was an incident right there at the start going up Eau Rouge, and it was just a lot of accident avoidance and trying to keep the car clean. With me not scoring points, I just mainly try to stay out of people's way. If there's battles going on and things like that, I would rather them have a good race and me get out of the way. So that's mostly, I think, what saved me tonight was me trying to be nice, I guess, and let people by when they were fighting it out, and that kept me out of the chaos for the most part, except for self-inflicted injuries.
Well, of course. Well, congratulations on picking your way through all of that tonight, Richard, and getting yourself first across the line of the beneficiaries. Congratulations, as I say, and thanks for chatting to us at the end tonight, as always, as well.
Oh, of course. Thank you guys for all you do as well. Hope you all have a good night.
Thanks very much. Richard Davenport, their first beneficiaries here tonight in our race at Spa in the Operation eMotorsport iRacing series. That's just about it from us. It was a good race tonight, Jonathan. A good chance, actually, to see a long and drawn-out battle between, especially that battle for third place, Justin Bessett, Martin Wallace, and Cameron Lackney, who were following for most of that race. Don't often get to follow a battle like that for so long, but always good to do so, to see how the different drivers interact with one another, and a good fight and a good finish between those two in the end there on the last lap as well.
And the three different makes between them, showcasing really what GT3 is all about, the different cars and the different driver strengths. It made it really fun to watch the entire way through.
Yeah, well, let's another round of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing series behind us. We get another round in just 2 weeks' time. Monza will be playing host to the next round of this championship. That's on September 1st. We'll be live at 7 o'clock Central. 6 o'clock Central is when the session opens in practice for the drivers. We'll be live shortly after that here on RaceSpot TV with full coverage, of course, of the next round of the championship from Monza in a fortnight's time. That's it from us tonight, though, at Spa. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Jonathan Burke in the commentary box. From Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras of this RaceSpot TV broadcast tonight. Until we see you in Monza for the next round of this championship, it's goodbye for now.